Anu, Ashe, Ptah, Ashe, Apollo, Ashe, Doth, Ashe, Zaka, Ashe, Shango, Ashe, Makali, Ashe.
Judy online. I brought Bobby in. I want you to know we're going to start off today's lecture, which by the way is on the Moorish sciences and the Necronomicon, with a question and answer period for about a half hour. But before I bring Bobby on, I want you to know that I have several things that I'm working on for the very near future. I'm planning a trip to Chicago in the middle of September. The Art Institute of Chicago is hosting an exhibit that they call Pharaohs of the Sun. They're dealing with the time period of Akhenaten, Nefertiti, and Tutankhamun. They have over 400 objects that they got from what they call the Armana period. And what I'll be doing is like renting a van, driving down there, the hotel that we hooked into. And I'll talk to Dr. Delbert Blair. And what we'll do is we'll go through the Art Institute, check out their exhibit, and then leave there and go to see Dr. Blair and have him break it down from the correct viewpoint. Because, the European archaeologists go there and they just get the skeletons and, measure the size of the skull and stuff like that, think they know people, But, now, they don't know nothing, so you have to go to somebody of our family, the melanin dominant family, to really find out the truth about anything. Even though white folks do have the facts, the raw data, their interpretation is faulty. On October 1st, I'm bringing Dick Gregory to town. He'll be at the Holiday Inn on Telegraph in Southfield. That'll be a Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock. The end of October, I'll be having a what I call a Physician Heal Thyself Festival, where we have just vendors and psychics. It's like my answer to the Body, Mind, and Spirit Festival that's out in Oakland that Phenomenals has every year. We need to have one down in the city for us, And, you can find out more about those about that and the other things on my telephone hotline, which is 792-2837. I've also talked to Dr. Layla Africa. I'll be bringing him in the middle of November 17th.
Could you do that number again, 792?
Yeah, 792-2837. That's the Jehudi hotline. It's a 24-hour telephone announcement service. And it works just like when you call the movie theaters, Just list the events, the dates, the time, the price, that kind of thing. So, without any more from me, today is Bobby Hemmitt. We're going to start off with a question and answer.
All right, we're going to do that before the libation. We're going to do the libation? Okay, good. Before the libation, that's good. That's good. Okay. I like to say it's always good to be back in the Motor City. Been hitting a lot of places this summer. LA one weekend, Cleveland one weekend. Just got back from last weekend. I did Trenton and Philadelphia and scooped on through here, bringing this stuff to the people and all. Going out west, going out places, because we talk about that whole frontier is almost 10 years behind the East Coast. So, going out that way and checking out the people out there and all, and they really enjoy it. And I think that's sometimes as we get closer and closer to the consciousness, we take things for granted and just come back down to the diehard fan. So also I like to say that you can consider yourself very fortunate now, even if you are even interested in this type of knowledge now, with so much stuff going on. Very fortunate. Right now they have a big convention down in Atlanta with T.D. Jakes and all just literally thousands and thousands and thousands of black women. And this is not just no T.D. Jakes put this together. This is straight up government. And the time it fell during the week after the 23rd, the rising of Leo and the whole rising of Sirius and all that type of thing. The way it fell means in actuality that they're planning something to shut down a lot of feminine energy. We'll get into that later on also too. But right now what we want to do is to do something a little different. Is to open up the forum for question and answer. especially for the people that came, that has been here before and heard my tapes and all, because a lot of times the question and answer come and a lot of people leave at a certain time. And although we do have great question and answers, but I think it's good to break up the monotony and just do things, on a different way sometimes. This is 2000, so what we want to go into right now is you have any type of, for the people, any type of, well, it doesn't matter right now because we're talking about a think tank and a forum. So anybody that have any types of questions, and now is the time to raise your hand and get something out. What's that, brother?
Yeah, welcome, brother.
Yeah.
Pleasure, real pleasure seeing you again.
Okay, brother.
Although our ancestors knew better to embalm or totally mummify high priests, they normally weren't, or not at all.
Yeah.
Has there been any remains, sure remains, or artifacts of Imhotep found anywhere?
I've never seen any. Like I said, it's very rare to see high priests. They got one down in Atlanta. It was one of the first ones I've heard of. They have the Ankh-Nakhonsu, which is the one that Crawley went in and invoked the Book of Law from. They got his stela, they got his even sarcophagus. This particular priest, but they don't have the body. They don't have the body, and I'm quite sure they have some priests. They have one that's been on display down in Atlanta from, I think, January up until August. Up until this month, next month. On loan from Germany or somewhere like that and all. I would not think so. I wouldn't think so. It was usually preserved for most of the pharaonic aspect and all. The pharaoh is not necessarily the priest, it's honorary. You know what I'm saying? And that was done for a certain purpose. And basically the whole embalming thing is also to break incarnation, which is a very interesting thing you said. Let's say if you didn't want to get down here, and this is a known fact, even in India. Let's say if you didn't want to come back, then basically what happens is with your soul, when you die, your soul is still in your body. Your spirit leaves. There's a difference between a spirit and a soul. The soul is a whole other dimension that can just basically rest for eons, encased in shit, out there in the bushes or anything like that, until it's trapped in the physical body. It's a whole nother world. It's a whole nother realm. So what happens is when you die, your spirit leaves. Everything down here has a spirit. Not everything has a soul. A soul is a son. That's the difference between white people and us and animals and everything. Everything down here has a spirit. White people are spiritual because they have a spirit, but they don't have a soul. That's the difference. We just automatically think that a spirit and a soul is one and the same, or it all comes together. A soul is a son, a primordial son that existed long before the creation of this particular universe. There was prior worlds, and in order for you to have a soul, you have to exist beyond creation or part of the original star matter or whatever, of that particular terrain. Now, the mummification was, it goes like this. If your body dies, your spirit leaves and all of that, and maybe your consciousness of the previous life, but your soul remains in the body until the body is totally decayed. Then it leaves. So the Hindus understood that, and which is also Typhonian Egyptians. So the Typhonian Egyptians, after which is your pre-dynastic Kamite, travel up into Mesopotamia, so-called Babylon, and these are new names and stuff, but basically Northeast Africa on in the Indus Kush, the Indus Valley into India. They would they understood to release the soul, they would cremate the body immediately. You see, then the soul is released. Because they were dealing with trying to get a soul back down here for an incarnation, the way they would do it. The Egyptians, the Kamites did another thing. If you were worthy enough and you didn't want to come back or whatever, they would mummify the body. And when they mummified the body, because the body didn't rot, the soul would not have to leave, and the soul would stay suspended in its own other dimension. And so that was a way of fooling, so you don't come back in the incarnation and come back down here walking around here with a bull can in your hand somewhere on some corner, and used to be some pharaoh somewhere, and now you walk out there some miniskirt on and stuff. You see what I'm saying? Just ignorant. So they understood that particular part as a form. Incarnation can also be a prison system, where it can take you thousands of years just to get back to incarnate where you got some sense. And in so many words, that's what's happened to our particular conscious people. So to answer your question, it would be highly unlikely. Now, the reason why I say it's about the priests, on the other hand, they didn't need the mummification. They knew how to get to the other realms based on their whole spiritual apparatus, their whole spiritual training. You see what I'm saying? Plus also this, some of the higher beings knew, and this is the key, this is why you're here today, the higher beings knew that it was inevitable, that it was going to need to be back on the planet at a certain time. So it was like a time release type of spirit, whereas they would go back into incarnation. And they would bounce around for eons, always popping up as famous people or spiritual people throughout history, but nevertheless waiting for this particular day that we're in right now. So that particular ones would return. So in actuality, the most higher beings went through the whole process of incarnation because they understood it was a destiny. You see what I'm saying? They understood it was a destiny. So more than likely, one of the priests back then that understood that they would need to be around at this particular time would more than likely travel the road of incarnation and just keep bouncing around in this hell. And the reason why I can say that because I just look at my past life. I was a priest one time, twice in Hemmitt. Was one in Yemen. And I have several incarnations, past life regression. But we understood that you would have to come back down at this particular time for this particular realm. So more than likely, the Imhotep is probably that particular soul is probably back on the planet right now doing something. And also it's a type of spirit that is prominent and known. It's not like a person that's just walking around like an everyday person. It would literally be somebody, and it doesn't necessarily mean that he's into this type of consciousness, but he's into some type of thing, whereas he's known by several people based on either some political thing or whatever type. Yeah. Take case in point, Michael Jackson is a big spirit. There's no doubt about it. It's just that he just got caught up in some bull. And psychologically, it's all damaged. But spiritually, it's no doubt about it that you talk about an advanced being. Or what was Michael Jackson? We have to ask that question. But my point is, clearly when you see the actual boy, to even when we talk about Thriller, when we talk about the largest album in world history, clearly you're talking about a person that is an advanced spirit. Although his spirit gives the energy to make him great, his mind is messed up that keeps him dead or keeps him on that particular level. So clearly you can see that these particular spirits and all, throughout life and all, we see them all the time. It doesn't necessarily have to be consciousness. But on the other hand, I highly would think that Imhotep would be back at this particular time to share in this process, more than likely. Just about what I know about just about everybody that's returning have already been in place. Either shared in the process of the previous couple of generations, because that whole wave of the 60s was a whole group of beings that came down for that. You see what I'm saying? You had a wave in the 30s. You see what I'm saying? It always comes up every 30 years or every 20-something years, you know, a cycle. So you have a few now, and unfortunately, the government has gotten much more advanced about it. But clearly, just for the mere fact that I'm standing before you talking, you know what I'm saying, this type of information, let you know that in actuality they saved some of the people that's supposed to be here this particular time, they saved them for last. You know, so more than likely Imhotep is back here doing something. Give you an example, and I got it from 2 or 3 psychics. I was asking, I said, well, what about Akhenaten? And I got 2 or 3 psychics say, well, he's in Philadelphia somewhere. And I said, well, you know. But then again, that might sound crazy, but then again, if you understand incarnation, well, hell, if they are black people, then why wouldn't you be in Philly? Just like the thing said, when we're talking about we are the same beings. You understand what I'm saying? So if you understand incarnation, then what is it? It's just incarnating into the physical body. So he could very well be in Philly. You know what I'm saying? In Philly, and the Hindus understood that. There's a story about this guy said, I'm going to die soon. And it's also in the movie Little Buddha. He said, I'm going to die soon. And it said, so they keep out from they would take their hands and they would always, the other priests would feel in the air in some type of way they did, and they knew he was going to incarnate. And when he reincarnated back into this baby, they came and knocked on the door, told the family this was a spiritual, one of my masters that passed a couple months ago and he's back now. Because that's also a talent where you can come back as fast as you can. Because sometimes you bounce around for 50 years before you come back, 100. Or 1,000 for some people. But he said, you know, he died a couple of months ago. He's back now. I guess 9 months before. And so they took the baby and took the baby to the Himalayas and took him to a certain spiritual retreat to raise him a certain way. You get that in the same movie Little Buddha. He just ended up being a little white boy and all. The movie Little Buddha with Keanu Reeves came out in 1994.
Also in Kundan, right?
Yeah, you have some of that also too. Although I do believe that the Dalai Lama they have now is nothing but some type of government agent or some type of clone and all, you know. Anybody in their right mind would not say that you're spiritual and side with the most diabolical powers that be. It just don't happen. And also too, remember this. No one is spiritual, no one that's really got something going on, they will ever show you on TV. You see what I'm saying? So anybody you ever see on the tube is either working for the government inadvertently and don't know it, or they are working for them as an agent and do know it. That's just the fact of the matter. They just don't put people. So any prominent figures you see, you saw that brother is on, that brother's on, that brother's a sellout. Because they don't put, they got white people right now, they don't even put on the TV, period. They don't even let you know their name. So how the hell they gonna give you some black leader on TV? And all, so you're getting off the subject, but yeah, that would have something to do with it. Give me some more questions. What's that?
Yeah, what's the deal with the whales and the dolphins? How they have like a lot more melanin than other animals?
Well, you know, the whales and the dolphins are not, they're mammals. And in so many words, I said, at least the whales and the dolphins have incarnated souls. Because, you know, because we're talking about some very advanced type, you know, communication and all that type of thing. But it's a huge mammal and all. So we do know that particular part. We do know that part when they beach themselves and all. It's not necessarily based on nature. They got sick. They beached themselves because it was time to beach themselves. You see what I'm saying? Beach themselves also too. So we know about that. What's that?
I read a book where they suggested that whales and dolphins were more advanced than we were, or humans were.
Well, in so many words, it's not a matter of we share the same souls incarnated either in some of those advanced mammals. So advanced would not necessarily be based on whether they're higher than we are. It just advanced would be that their faculties in what the body that their intelligence based on the body that they incarnate in gives them a greater opportunity to be much more spiritual or psychic or whatever, because you know what I'm saying, because it's rooted in a certain terrain that allows that. But it's basically the same souls.
Okay.
You see, it's basically the same souls as ours. You know, as ours. What's that, brother?
Okay. I got a question. Considering that the Europeans are making movies such as The Matrix that are based on melanin, do you think they've learned how to harness that the real power of melanite yet?
No.
And if no, and then also, what information can you give us on how we can go about trying to find how to harness that power? Okay,
it's a good question. That's a lot of stuff we're going to deal with today in this particular lecture, is dealing with that to pinpoint that actual discipline also too. Number one, to answer that based on the matrix, you got to realize these people have got 150 years in the occult sciences. That's just on the revival of it. We're talking about over 700 years of what the Moors left them, which we're going to also get into. This ties right in. The Moors left them. These people are not for a lack of knowledge. These people they busted the government, so-called. They always give up some stuff. You know, we can't do nothing about it, just to make us happy, like be in order. Back in '96, they came in and they said the government had spent almost $10 million in revising history. They said, how can you revise history? It's going to take $10 million. And in so many words, what it was is that's the department that it was under. In actuality, what they did was the government, they got people in the room, by probably many people in this room, and what they do is they sit around a table and they read every single book that comes out. Let's say breaking down novels, because the other stuff is kind of explanatory. You know, you get into it, you can literally see what this person is coming from, what he has science. But let's say the novels, because a lot of novels are coming based on people get channels, and they're inspired to do those things. So they have to have these people up in there that sit around and read damn near every sci-fi novel, every horror novel that come out, mainly sci-fi and horror, so that they can understand the concepts of where these people is also coming from. So in actuality, they spend billions of dollars in just research alone on this particular science. The whole matrix thing is no big deal. That's basic metaphysics 101. It's just was great to us. They put the karate stuff up in there. But basically any Hindu text, Mahabharata, Upanishads, Rig Veda, all that goes into the whole thing. And this is an illusion in Maya. You see what I'm saying and all. There's a whole book on that whole thing. Coming from the Hindu text out of University of Chicago. Dreams, Illusions, and Other Realities by O'Flaherty book. As well as her book, the Rig Veda, Hindu myths. So there's tons of stuff based on this being an illusion. You got Michael Talbot's book, Holographic Universe. You got Seeing Through the Visible World by Gene Singer. It's just tons of books out here, and that's basic metaphysics 101. So when they put that out to the general audience now, but they did an excellent job. But basically, most of your Hindu texts deal with that whole thing. But this is only an illusion in this whole thing here. We dealt with some of that. We'll go through some of that also too. So that's what they did on that particular part. Now, based on that particular energy, when we go into the particular science today and all, you're going to find out just about everything that the Bible tells you not to do. That's what you need to be doing. And as well as, you must fight against being righteous. Because righteous just means obedient prisoner. You see what I'm saying? So just about everything it tells you not to do, and let me give you an example. One we'll deal with today is lust, sexual eroticism, and sexual pleasure. It's supposed to be explored to the highest level. That's why the hell you think the government, he didn't stop no Bibles, he didn't stop no Christianity, he got a church on every corner, but he stopped the sexual revolution of the 70s with the AIDS scare. Why did he do that? Why did the government do that? Because they understand that it is the power of this particular realm of the power we're talking about is sexual energy. And this is hitting real spiritual, because that's what we're going to go into today. And that's the stuff we need to be dealing with. But I'm not just talking about on some beautiful romantic level. We're talking about freaky stuff that you got in your mind, other than the gender crossing you call homosexuality or whatever type thing. We're talking about the most erotic things that you have. Everybody has these things, but you are trained in this society not to deal with those things. You see what I'm saying? Especially the women, who is the greater vessel to deal with this type of stuff and all. We'll get into that particular part also too. But you're trained if you give away to your passions and your passions and your erotic desires, that you're a freak. This is a patriarchal society, and it's done to shut down a certain feminine energy. Also, we're talking about sexual tantra, raising certain spiritual energies to a certain level. And this is the way of action, and this is actually the power. This is the actual power. What is the Kundalini energy? The real power is nothing but the Kundalini energy. That's what the real power is. The flip side of the Kundalini energy is the black dot. You saw the black dot, which is you see the staff of Tahuti. Then you have the two serpents, which represents the Kundalini serpentine fire. But you have the black dot is the end piece. Well, the real power is nothing but the force that goes to that particular black dot. And then through the black dot, it's synthesized into this particular magnificent force. The key here is, what is Kundalini energy? It's sexual energy. It's sexual energy. You just feel it going down most of the time, but it's the same energy. That's all it is. You see what I'm saying? So the whole concept of someone telling you, so that's that whole thing of 2,000 years ago. Well, tell them about Jesus, but they can't become Jesus. So therefore, you tell them about some man out here, which is yourself, but you don't give them the art to tap into it to find out that they are the actual people that the whole book is talking about. And there was never no person running around no 2,000 years ago. You see what I'm saying? There was no Christ. It's false. It's the biggest hoax in world history. You see what I'm saying? That's why it's on every corner. Even the Yeshua Ben Pandero, when we tell you we're going to trace a historical person back. That historical person could have been a very political person, but as far as what the Christ does and details, it couldn't have been. It's impossible. And I've said this before, because the Christ itself is preserved for the end time. That's why the Hebrews, the Egyptians, the Greeks, half of the Romans, and everybody in the ancient world other than the doggone Roman government that started the whole papacy, put this bullshit out. It's impossible. You see what I'm saying? So even if you see, the whole concept is back in '91 at Pasco's Hotel down in Atlanta. Somebody asked Dr. Ben about Jesus. He said, Jesus? I don't know about who is who? Say Jesus. He said, I don't know about no Jesus. He said, no, you know, we understand he was a black man. It was like, he was like, no, I don't know about no Jesus. And you know Dr. Ben, you know, he taking this person a roundabout way and all to let him think. And so one guy feeling sorry said, listen, we understand about Yeshua ben Pandera. Gerald Massey talks about it in Gnostic and historical Christianity. Historical Christianity in the Gerald Massey lectures, as well as Natural Genesis Volume 2 talks about also the historical Jesus, mystical Christ. But he said, this is the person when they trace something back to a person that was executed by the Roman government, a political figure or a revolutionary figure. This is the person that they trace back and say it can line up with a certain story. But the other one is mythology. Turning the water into wine, walking on the water, Lazarus, which is Osiris, all that shit is mythology. And mythology and stuff. As a matter of fact, this is so interesting because what we're going to get into also today is, do you know, this is interesting, that when you trace the original Christ back, there's several Christ figures, but when you trace all of them back outside of Jesus, all of them are identified also with being aspects of the devil. Even Harvest, it's in this month, here's Satan. You see what I'm saying? You got Sheba, Satan. You see, all of them, so obviously we're talking about somebody taking the polarities of the yin and the yang out, the light and the dark, the destruction and the flow of time, flow of energy to create, the flow of energy to destroy, which is both dual natures of Christ. And trying to put it to this particular figure that they created a couple of years ago. So, going back to this particular power we're going to deal with is based on sexual energy. That is the way of action. I mean, we get all of the other energy, and you can get the visions and all this type of stuff here. But we're talking about here a power that is based on sexual energy. We're going to get into that also today. Give me some more questions. Any more questions? I know. Yeah, what's that?
The Atlanta child murders.
Yeah.
I was told today by my neighbor that it's still going on. The Ku Klux Klan are still abducting young men.
Probably so. As you know, it's interesting. Now I'm down there in a lecture back in 96. Yeah, 96. Sister stepped up to me in the lecture. She said, you know, one of my children was murdered. I said, oh man. I said, you the first person. I've been here about 15 years. I never have it. You're the first person I know that I actually met that was the mother of one of the children. She said they came and got her and took her to the place where her daughter was, and the daughter was still living. She was telling me this in the lecture. And she said the daughter looked like she was about 80. Although she was, I don't know, 8. She looked like she was about 80. The experiments that they was doing on her. In so many words, they couldn't say anything. They couldn't say anything or else they would die. They said, we kill everybody in your family, kill your mama's grandmama's mama. Ain't much to scare no black people up. But basically the experiments they were doing on the daughter was actually like 80, 85. And she was only 8. But the woman was telling me this literally in the lecture. You know, in the lecture on this happening. So, yes, it's experiments, but see, this is the key now. Anytime you do some stuff, that's an orientation. Whenever you saw that happen, that sets up a catalyst, or it sets up something for the rest of what they're going to be doing in the future. So in so many words, they're doing that all over the country. You see what I'm saying? That was just the incubation period of what went down in Atlanta. You see what I'm saying? They're doing that all over the doggone country. So that's one thing we must keep in mind also too. But like we said, interferon, we're talking also the cloning thing. A lot of the cloning of black people, learning how to clone black people. More advanced technology in that particular stuff came out of Atlanta child murder. Let's even in the book, see, because they always put stuff in the book. The book, the Universe Guide to the the Guide to the Star Wars Universe. Excellent book. Because it goes into all this stuff of sporadic cloning cylinders. With the Clone Wars, all this stuff, George Lucas and all them worked for the whole government and all that type of stuff. Even went to Princeton to your boy down there in Princeton to even teaching mythology. What's your boy? Joseph Campbell, to bring that whole thing about now, because we sit up here and all, when we say the word myth, and you go, that's a myth. You taught that myth is a lie. But yet, try to get a PhD in mythology. You better go try to goddamn build some rockets. I believe the PhD in mythology is a little harder. And mythology is very advanced stuff. You can translate it for 20 years. It's like O'Flaherty said. She said, I've translated the Rig Veda, Upanishads, Mahabharata, Ramayana, and all those books for 20 years, and I'm still translating, and I'm getting several layers of understanding each time I translate it. Over 20 years. Over 30 years she's been translating. And her recent thing said, I'm still baffled. On the same text I started 30 years ago, I'm getting 3 times as much stuff, because we're talking about something written by an advanced race, or what they call a sage race, and that was our particular people. Now, going back to that, the whole thing with this, the whole cloning thing, in that particular book, the Guide to a Star Wars Universe, it tells you that at first they couldn't clone people with the Force. Now, the Force, as you know, is identified as the real power, melanin, Kundalini energy, all of that. They said first they couldn't clone people with the Force. And it was only till later that they did some things that they was able to clone people with the Force. So in so many words, although you're thinking it's a Star Wars thing, literally the government is literally telling you that they had problems since 1945 when they started this thing. You see what I'm saying? They started a group of this stuff, cloning, messing with black people in the 70s, but by the amount of child murders, they had down pat. So as a result of, after the amount of child murders, you see what I'm saying? Shoot, it's robot central now. You see, so a lot of stuff came out of that. It's not just the interferon, but these things when you see, it's multiple things. It's the same as the whole Tuskegee experiment. Tuskegee experiment. Now, anybody know that's ever been on a farm or been in the country, bacon don't taste the same way. The stuff you get at the store and the stuff you get when you slaughtering some hogs down there in the country, it's 2 different things. It tastes almost like fatback or some type of, That's because but in the Tuskegee experiment, they had black men, tasters, trying to find out the best taste that they could do with bacon. And as a result of the best taste, that's what the whole world now is using. It made bacon go from just it made bacon a phenomenon. You see what I'm saying? Everyday meal. But that happened with the doggone Tuskegee experiment. So the whole round of child murders was more than just the interferon. Oh man, I'm sitting up here with my pants unzipped.
They was enjoying it anyway, man. You had everybody's attention. That damn, that Bobby show is easy.
My pants unzipped, anybody saying nothing? I'm in the lecture in Atlanta. It's sweating because electricity went out, so somebody had me a tissue and a piece of patch of paper sticking on my damn head. For almost 15 minutes, and the niggas sitting in the lecture looking at me like me here with a patch of paper on my head. I'm like, I'm saying, I know getting caught up in the spirit. Well, this is a whole sexual tantra lecture, which is awful. But I'm just talking. But there's several things that went on in that thing, not just the interferon thing. They talk about, that stuff that comes from the genitals of the young people. That's what they said. A couple of, how many? The devil bless how much it was a vial, all of that stuff. I forgot. But anyway, what we're talking about is more. We're talking about when they do these things, it's just like literally tons of things. That's why it is very crucial that anytime you see some stuff, anytime they're hanging somebody, or anytime the thing in Mississippi, anytime, like I tell you before, anything that the whole thing that went down in Texas where they was executing that guy, the whole thing, and anytime they're doing that, and they got your attention this way, they're doing something over here. Now mainly, there's only one spiritual apparatus that's left in the United States that wasn't developed someplace else, even though voodoo was developed in Haiti and was basically popularized by Marie Nouveau in New Orleans. Your spiritual system that was left over from Africa is your roots in South Carolina with your whole Gullah people. There's a whole book out on the blue roots that just came out. Let me give you the name of that person. To get you know, it's interesting. I had it funny that all these years we've been talking about roots, and these white people finally put out a book. It's called The Blue Roots by Roger Pinckney. African American Folklore and Magic of the Gullah People in South Carolina. $12.95, Llewellyn Publications. It's called Blue Roots. Roger Pinckney. Excellent little book. It goes into your boy Dr. Buzzard and that whole 9 yards. And I actually went to college with a brother that's Dr. Buzzard's grandson. Was his grandson, Brother Pledge Kappa and all, you know. And every time I come to the lectures in Harlem, he's always at the lectures. We real good friends and all. And I'm like, and I used to say, yo man, so I see you. He's like, shoot man, my family been into this kind of stuff. And I'm like, And then when I went back, when I went home, a man said, you didn't know? He said, that's Dr. Buzzard's grandson, man. Like, oh. I said, well, I know, tap him on the shoulder a few minutes and all, you know, and get some of that power. But anyway, they got this whole roots thing going on, but yeah, we got the 2000, but this is the only leftover type of magic, although we have all types of things we carried over from Africa. But we talk about a system, it's not the greatest system in the world, some of it is deteriorated, but still yet the works. Right. Well, nigga put a root on your ass down there. Yeah. I know, I got family members. My grandfather died off some roots. Yeah. One of my grandmother's sister died off some roots. But the point is this is the year 2000. So therefore they got to go down and they got to do something to direct attention away from the most amount of black people in the country in the state of South Carolina. South Carolina has the most amount of black people in any place in the country. They got towns in South Carolina where they outnumber the doggone whites 10-1. But the whites always running. They make sure that. You see what I'm saying? Whole counties where it's majority black. Because they have one of the greatest slave ports down there in Charleston and different things like that. Fort Sumter, the Civil War jumped off down there. So based on the Civil War, based on this roots thing, they got to divert their attention away and they come with that old bull flag and all these stupid to run it down to a doggone flag and say, please don't let us know that you don't like us. And took down the flag and they didn't even know, and they thought they did. Let's let it cave for a minute. Let's let it go. Let them boycott. That way we made like we caving in. It's all set up. They laugh at us. We were world-class people still marching. Let them, okay, let's see here. All right. Give it another month. We ain't gonna cave and all. Let them cut a few conferences. Let them like a damn cracker need your conferences and need your dollar bills. Print money. Right. They don't even live off money. Right. We're the idiots that think that this is this way. By wealth and power. That's a fucking joke. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, okay then, now, maybe like you caving. Put the flag behind the State House. Meanwhile, they doing all that. They diverting some people's attention from some major shit they was doing down there for 2000. And nobody never know because that's how it is. We are animals. And what they do with an animal is just like anything else. You herd them the way the hell you want them to go. Right. Because we have stopped using our minds. Our brain atrophy. So the key here is all of this particular stuff that's going on, there got to be a group of people that don't even pay no attention to that. Drug down the street to hell. I'm not going to march for no nigga getting drugged down the street. You figure we done had about 10,000 black men that died in the last 10 years. Well, that's 10,000 they count. Hell, they took, 11,000 alone out of LA riots, got rid of them. Disappeared. You know what I'm saying? And yet we're going to march for somebody that's going to the electric chair. They killed a whole bunch of people and just so happened he got sent to jail for the ones he didn't kill. Right. But that's a fucking issue. Come off the jail. And even if he was innocent, there's something that you don't beg your enemy to redeem you or to free you. Otherwise that wouldn't be an enemy. There has to be an enemy. That's what the movie said on the movie Thunderheart. He said some of us have to die. This was he said this was a 300-year-old resistance. And we can't break the goddamn resistance by saying, oh, please, master, lighten up on me. That's a prisoner of war. So if I get up in there and don't have no marches for me, black political people, somebody said, you know, we got Brother Bobby Hemmitt was out there speaking, and now they got him on death row, and we gonna do, I said, look, I'm gonna come outside the prison and say, look, damn all y'all. Let me die,
Right.
and let the man kill me, because that's the most honorable thing you can do.
Right.
Until you learn how to kill his ass, because we don't ever go on offense. But the key is we have to die.
Right.
But never ever beg your enemy to spare your life. Then he has one up on you, then he can say, now I can appear to be humane, which he's never is. You see what I'm saying? So all this stuff is a diversionary thing that is going on. The Mississippi shit is going on. You know, all this stuff, and it's going to have more and more and stuff. But then again, on the other hand, we don't analyze nothing. So therefore, how would you know? And he understands this. I got a book here called Melanin People, How to Eat Them and How to Drain Their Energy. I got it in here. It's a... hold on 1 minute. Melanin People, How to Eat Them and How to Drain Their Energy. Melanin People, How to Eat Them and Devour Their Energy. A white Luciferian group reveal their secrets.
Are you selling those?
Yeah, I'm selling these. The ones I got. So I'm saying they do all types of things, because we're nothing but subjects of the government.
Right.
And the more educated you get, the more better subject you are, the more vulnerable you are. Because you think that you got something, and you think that you've made it, so therefore they can really stick their dick up your behind. Use the expression, but you know what time it is.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And that's what it is. The more vulnerable we are. What's that?
Yeah, let's go on for a libation and get this real.
Oh, okay.
Take it up to another level.
Oh, okay. All right.
I got you some water over here.
Okay. And as I'm talking, we'll be going through some things. Like I said, so this is the way that they do things. Everything that's going on that you think, never look at the news as anything valid. All of it is manufactured. And you shouldn't plot your course based on what the man give you on TV. Now, I have to say this because it's coming. Now, I'm sitting on the steps back in 95 down in Atlanta at his brother Juju's house. A helicopter come and shoot this Negro 14 times. Don't even make the news. Yet they got a person being shot 45 times, and they got riots and marches and all that kind of stuff. They shot it 14 times. You know they kill niggas every day.
Right.
And it don't even make the news. Now down there, this black man jumps in front of the train. He must have jumped right at the right speed. He must have jumped. His speed was enough speed, and the train speed was enough speed, because it wasn't nothing but just guts and blood. Splatter like tomato. Didn't even make the news. Now this is in the main train station, centrally located in the middle of Atlanta, blood everywhere. But you best believe they had that shit quartered off. Herding them people out. People going, what's going on? You can't see nothing. You see what I'm saying? But the original people, I said, oh, I know this don't make the news. I see the blood. Didn't even make the news. So obviously what makes the news, you got shit that's been going on in the 1930s, 1940s. You don't even know you've been on this planet. So is this the planet I live on? I didn't know nothing about this. And all of a sudden you think something making the news? Because you think they got the reporter. And I kept telling you, and one thing I did learn based on my I'm getting my libation list, man. Based on my my ex-girlfriend, that she worked at the main paper, and she said she'd have a meeting every morning. If it ain't playing the paper, if the government or whatever say this ain't going, you better not put nothing in that paper. And stuff. So it's all foolishness. And I said my ex-girlfriend, I have just newly become a bachelor. I don't want to say most eligible bachelor. I am the brokest man in the Western Hemisphere. It's serious business. I ain't got nothing but some damn sex and some buffalo wings. I can't afford no damn buffalo wings. So if you talking about some unappealing shit, you say, I want a man with money, I don't fit the damn category. You see what I'm saying? If my mama was in town, I'd move back in with her. You see what I'm saying? The judge said, you gonna feed them kids? I said, yeah, I'm hungry my damn self. Just luckily I don't have any children. But the key what I'm trying trying to make is I have to put this on the thing and all because it's, you have to clear up things before the news get out. And before I put this, I want to say one thing that's very important.
You on your time.
I want to clear this up.
You're on your time.
But what happened was my ex was 11 years younger than I was. I met her at 20. And so I met her at 20 and I was 30, 31 or whatever. And basically, the last 7 years, I mean, we had a relationship where we didn't even argue. She's advanced psychic. She's into all this stuff. All this stuff I know, she knows this stuff. Very conscious, advanced psychic, and then she turned 27 on May 13th, but about a month before that, she's like, hell, she said, I went from the house, went to school, and I've been with you the whole time. Shoot, I want to get out and just chill on my own. And the spirit was like, to me, it used, oh, you're so messed up. And I love this woman. I was like, I think you better do that. Right. Because I was thinking like this, if I denied her that, then I know all the hell was going to break loose. Right. See, it's one thing you don't have no argument. That's some scary shit. You and your girl don't have no argument. Right. But I said, wait a minute now. We got to think on a higher level. We can't think on the selfish level. I said, well, wait a minute. I said, I partied from age 14 to damn 30. Right. You know what I'm saying? I said I couldn't even imagine I couldn't even imagine, being with somebody in those incubation years or whatever. And some people say, well, I did. I said, but it might be another whole generation. Right. You see what I'm saying? You're talking about the doggone rap generation, Pepsi generation, like my man said, the damn chaos generation, Generation X, and the whole thing, apocalypse culture. So basically, I said personally, I think that you need to get out here too, because I personally, Right. It's a damn adjustment, but on my part, but I'm like, yeah, you right. Plus, I'm like, because I said, if you don't let her go, because it might just be that thing in her head that, damn, what if I just went out here, what if I said, well, no, you better go see. Right. See, so other than that, I immediately became a bachelor the last 2 months and shit like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Well, I got wealth. I got a whole lot of knowledge. Right. But money-wise, this lecture thing is not paid off. But I didn't get into it for that. Though. Right. That's the saving grace of it. Right. It was a labor of love in the first place, and I would have it no other way. Another thing is also too. What's going on also is I was in LA and I mentioned that about my girl going. Boy, it was on then. It was on then. Shoot. So they gunning. Extra smiles and stuff. One sister, she stayed, she said, I'm going to figure out an angle to get this number. And she figured out a way to get the number based on some spiritual consultation. And she booked up. I said, oh, okay. But anyway, this is another.
My libation list.
Oh, yeah, you should have. Anyway, what happened was, I can say some stuff off my head, so it doesn't matter. I got a real good one also, too. A voodoo one we're going to do also. I got it in a book. In this book called that New Orleans Voodoo Tarot Deck, which is an excellent book. Also, too. They got some stuff going on here with Operation Dirty Tricks. I did a lecture down in Atlanta on the 18th of June, and they had 5 helicopters flying around the doggone building. It was called the Voodoo Chaos. What was the one what's the one tomorrow is called?
Voodoo Melanin Wars.
Voodoo Melanin Wars. This was called the Voodoo Chaos Wars or something. Anyway, they must have was scared as hell because they had 5 helicopters flying around the doggone building. But I noticed something at the beginning of the year. It's like Get Bobby Hemmitt. And so it's this new thing, Operation Dirty Tricks. Now, Operation Dirty Tricks was started with also Malcolm X. But then again, they can't get me for the simple fact that I'm already hooked up. Right. They mess around and shoot. I'll explain what I'm talking about. I got it in a book here also, too. You just got to know the power you have. Certain people they can't kill. And this is all scientific also, too. But I'm just noticing the Operation Dirty Tricks because the government ain't trying to do nothing. It's just that they got the Negroes out here trying to doggone play a hate, as they say, and disturb things. So this is what's going on here. Operation Dirty Tricks is what they did with Malcolm X, whereas they intercepted his letters and come in there, tell a lie, and make the people mad, and so they spread these rumors. So we had this big conference down in Atlanta, a whole lot of stuff, a few things went down, a few comments went down. with Carly, Brother Conscious Roster, but nothing really actually happened because I was here the next week. Nothing actually happened for the simple fact that it didn't get a chance to go off because I came with the voodoo energy. And I had the vevés and all the and I had the rum, which is good. See, it's spiritual. I had to talk about. I forgot that rum, and I'd have been in trouble. We're gonna give out some rituals for the sisters that need love rituals, because that's one thing also too. The black woman's love life has to be fulfilled. She emits a certain amount of power when she's in love. That's your thing. You operate good when you're in love. It's just that prison when your ass is in love too. Don't let nobody fool you now. We know what time it is. But therefore, but then again, we are subjects. And that's our thing. We are subjects to the mama. So what I want to do is what's that?
I just wanted to dedicate this particular lecture to my sister that made her transition in March.
Okay, what's her name?
Gwendolyn Sims.
Gwendolyn
Sims.
Gwendolyn Sims. That's good.
Falasha Day.
Falasha Day. That's
Solid being named her Falasha Day.
Falasha Day. Gwendolyn Sims. Falasha Day made the transition, and so we want to dedicate the lecture to her. That's always good. Anybody ever have some shout out on somebody passed on? We dedicate the lecture to them. Anybody famous or anybody, not just anybody famous and all, no cornbread eating nigga, but somebody, like that. I need somebody to run upstairs and get hey man, run up there and get that other bag, because I get the other bag. But anyway, we're going to give out a good love ritual for the sisters that need some stuff. And the reason why I say this is because the Spirit came and said, now look, we're losing the men, the black men, to the white women in record numbers. So the only thing we talking about doing is just and giving them an attitude adjustment to come back to the system. And so therefore you have to go and do your magic. That's what the magic was for. The magic was not necessarily bending someone's will. It was giving a nigga an attitude adjustment when they went insane. So we need so for what you call it and all, so there's about two you're gonna have to do. We'll give you one that's a real nice one, and then we're gonna give you one that's a very powerful one if the nigga wanna act funny. Also too. But the Spirit came and said there's over 10 million black women without mates. Now, by being raised in a family with all women and all, I look at that and I say, that's some hard. You think about it now, because you are socialized in a society for love and romance, and that so therefore when you don't get that, that has got to be a traumatic thing. You see what I'm saying? Now my ex-girlfriend, she had a guy, and it was interesting. I'm flowing, but it's good.
Amen.
I had a guy who was interesting. Now my ex-girlfriend, real cute, not the one that just left, but but the one prior to her, real cute woman. And brilliant, based on her mind and all. She's an expert on the goddess and all this knowledge. Both of them now, all the ones I'm with and all, they hooked up on this knowledge tip. And she was an expert, and we were actually learning together. And so now the guy likes her. Now she's real cute and all, but the thing is that has nothing to do with the way she looks. This guy is used to going with these tall models. Just another type of prototype. And so, but the thing about it is he's in his 40s. And he likes her because he likes her mind. See, it's fun. See, he likes her mind, but he has this image of this woman burned in him, and based on the whole ego thing, that's the woman he thinks he wants to be with. But when he ends up being with these women, he said, "You are an idiot."
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because he likes the one that he's with. You see what I'm saying? So I was like, look, you have to get that nigga that attitude adjustment. I told her what to do. And sure enough, homeboy is real content. You see, so it's not a matter of that now, it's a form of insanity. And it's a form of programming on the TV set. You see what I'm saying? And I said this program before when I left college. I was in college from 1980 to 88. All the 80s. I was about to get my somebody said, "God damn, you gonna get your pension up in here, man." You know. After I left, I said, "I've been here so long." I said, "You know, I don't even know how to live out in the outside world at all." I said, "Shoot, man." I said, "At all?" And so I said, "This is adjustment period." So I flew home. I was going to do the shoe thing. I was going, and so the guy called me to come to New York to pick my shoes off the wall because I was doing the shoe designing thing at the time. So the Jew boy called me up and said, "I'm gonna give you your check." So I had a lot of time to burn, so I went home for about a month. And I watched a lot of cable. Now I was in black college, and from 1980 to 1988, I ain't saw nothing but a black woman. And to the point where as you can program your mind to the white woman looks alien. Because all the sisters, you know, the white woman looks alien because that's all I was around. So it's a programming mechanism. So I went home for about a doggone month and was watching that cable, because I didn't have nothing to do. I said, "Well, damn, it's a month before, a month before I got to go to New York, and they kicked me out of my house and school. Nigga, you got to go." But anyway, so I'm watching all this cable, and all of a sudden I could see an attractiveness in the white woman, just psychologically, and I had to stop myself. And the reason why I could notice, otherwise I'm not being programmed saying, "Well, all women are beautiful," or whatever. But because I had gone 8 years in a college environment with all sisters, you know what I'm saying? And you know, we talking about all sisters. God damn, that's paradise. And then so I could actually register when it hit. I said, "Wait a minute, there's some shit going on up in here." And that's how they're programming people based on this whole standard of beauty. And they got the man insane.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Insane based on this doggone foolishness. You see, so it's a whole lot of stuff going on program-wise. And so we got to curve that back. Around. So therefore, we got some rituals from the University of Chicago coming out of ancient Kemet. We'll get into that type of thing. We'll get into that type of thing, as well as some stuff I'm going to also give out. You see, also give out. Got one for male pattern baldness too. Coming from the Europa thing, but because we had all kind of science for that. You see what I'm saying? So we had all kind of science for that type of stuff. Alchemy and stuff like that. So we got one there, and it's real simple. You know, candle and some coconut milk and some stuff like that. We'll show you what to do. And also we now, since the 2000, we actually going for the warfare and stuff. We're giving out all kind of magic stuff that we got to use and stuff like that also. What's that?
Could you tell me about the baldness and the center of the head of female sometimes?
Well, you know, it could be several things. It could be psychological.
It could be psychological.
It could be psychological. It could be psychological. It could be geographical, or it could be also based on, like Blair said. Now you're being bombarded with tons and tons of rays and stuff. That electric disease. As a matter of fact, this book here, based on melanin. This particular book here is based on melanin. It could be a series of things. I don't want to be unfair and say, you know, but the point about it is, this book called Melanin, Your Own the Body's, your melanin is called melatonin. I talked about it the last time. Your Own the Body's new wonder drug or something. Melatonin, your body's natural wonder drug. Your body's natural wonder drug, melatonin, by Richard Russell J. Reeder, PhD, and Joe Robinson. And in this particular book, they got a section in here on all this doggone stuff that affects melanin. Now, you know your hair is all hooked up with the melanin thing. And all, you see what I'm saying? And they got the type of electrical appliances that affect melanin. And it's down to everything in the house, everything in the society. You see what I'm saying? Everything in the society. So it could be several things. But don't worry about that, because we got magic for that shit. The problem here is the white boy has convinced you that your stuff don't work. Now this is very key, because what happens is this. He has had our stuff since the Moors, 700 years. He's had some stuff on the resurgence of this type of magical material. He's had all this stuff since at least 140 years. And they got all these magical papyruses and texts and stuff, and they say, damn, these people were geniuses. And this is advanced science. Now we know it's science. But what we're going to do is this. We're going to make the public think that all that is some mumbo jumbo, voodoo, crazy, witch doctor stuff.
Right.
Meanwhile, this stuff works, but we don't have the mathematical equation of the chemical equation for it. So what they'll do is they'll hang on to something for 100 years until they somewhat try to break down the equivalence in what they call their physical science based on what was taught to them also. But what you think is white. So until they learn how to explain it white, they'll tell you that your shit don't exist and it's all crazy and stupid. And then they'll all of a sudden come out with it and you go, oh man, that damn white man is hell. You don't know, he's been studying this thing. It took him down there 100 years to break down the codes, but he had the shit 100 years ago say, do this, do that.
Right.
But no, he's got to break it down in his little thing based on his doggone little educational arena. So when he comes out with it, you think that he is God.
Right.
When you God.
Right.
You see, so this is the way things go. So there is something for everything. Now it's interesting because the Spirit gave me this last week. Gave me this same thing last week. And it said, well, when you go to Detroit, say this. And then I'll say it and all, and you ask me this question, and we got the doggone cure. We got a cure for everything. We got a doggone cure for everything. We got, as a matter of fact, this particular papyrus here has a cure. This one here cures everything, even delivers a person from death. Providing that person want to come back. Because I had the Jews, when I went up in their funeral home in 94, my Kundalini energy was so high. When I went up in there, I said, I'm bringing this brother back. And my girl, you know, she's psychic. He came and talked to her. I said, let me talk to you, because this is the brother came and said, I just got killed outside a damn crack house. Why in the would I want to come back down here?
Right.
When I'm chilling.
All right.
Where the hell I am, where everything I wanted down here, I got just based on thought.
Right.
Manifested. Why in the world would I want to come back down here and end up back out in some damn crack house? With half a brain now, because now the body ain't even working no more.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So my point is but they got memory spells, they got all types of things. And this is the type of stuff, spells for dreams, spells, there's 2 or 3 love spells up in here also too. But I'm going to give you one that's I'm going to give you one to go along with this one, or you don't even need it. Real good stuff, it works too. But we'll give you that one also too. We'll give you that one also too. We need to get back into the magic in the practicing stage right now. And I'll promise you, whatever you want, I might not have an answer, but all I got to do is just think it up. I'm telling you now, the power done got to a point that I can think of a damn lie. I can think of a lie, and an hour later, this come true.
Yeah.
But then Dr. Delbert Blair said that there's no such thing as that. If it wasn't real in the universe, your mind couldn't perceive it. You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying we got the power to do it now because this is what time it is. You see what I'm saying? Anything we want. While we still linger in here, which is very short, but we need to do those type of things. So let's go into a libation thing right quick. And what I'm gonna do is let me just I get one thing and I'll just go off the top of my head. But y'all all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's always good. Let me see if I got some of these babies. I haven't even got my shirt up in here. That's my underwear.
That's all right.
Y'all probably watched many of them, so yeah, I got some of these babies and all. For the people that's here and all, I'm gonna pass these out. I'm gonna put one here, and this is the veve for the leg bar. Now, a leg bar is the God of the crossroads. Any energy you want to come through, you just call on the leg bar or issue and get you some Maya's rum. You see Maya's rum. And Maya's rum or Appleton rum, anyone from Jamaica, they kind of like that. Because we put that Bacardi down and it'll sit there for a whole month. It won't even drink it. Put the Maya's down, it's going in 3 days. You see, Maya's rum. And now this is also good if you're driving in a car and you don't have no insurance. I got a homegirl in Los Angeles. She spit this thing 4 ways. She was on the road and the cop stopped her. She gave him an insurance policy from 1970. Man said, move right along. So you got to do the energy on this type. Now, this is magic. This is our spiritual aspect. Now to break this thing down so you don't think this is all hocus pocus, let's break this thing down scientifically, because you ain't dealing with some quackpot out here. Let's break this thing down scientifically. All this stuff used to have mathematical and scientific meanings thousands of years ago. Just so happened that the culture might have deteriorated, and the priests or the scientists that was dealing with it at that time went underground and died out, but they still have the elaborate rituals on top of the ground. So although the actual scientific methods might be lost, it don't necessarily mean that it was no more scientific and you sitting up there with some doctor plugging you up the behind that don't know shit.
Okay.
Remember, all black people come as guinea pigs to the doctors because they don't know stuff, and they especially don't know stuff when it comes to you because melanin changes. That's why they can never know your physiological state. Even if they map your shit out 10 years ago, melanin always is in a state of flux to go to the next level. Transmutation. So therefore, even when it comes to that, they might not know your shit 10 years later. So the stuff they learned on you in the 70s, it's changed. We know niggas has changed. Hell, you know 5, 6 niggas. I don't know who the hell you are no more. You a damn fool. Right. Right? Laying in the bed with you. Nigga done changed them. What the hell going on? He said, you don't know this, man. I don't even know who the hell you are. You see what I'm saying? But then again, that's what time the universe is in nature and everything is changing. So they don't know nothing but doggone guinea pig factory. You see what I'm saying? And whenever you come to them, thinking you don't get help and all, they're saying, yeah, we need help. We need you to tell us about help. You see what I'm saying? So we do that too. So I have the Vivez. This is a minute. And you can pass these out. This is the leg bar.
You want them back?
Huh? No, I'm gonna pass them out and give them to them. It's just.
Excuse me, I have another question. Why do some black folks tend to get white splashes?
You know what? That's based on diet. Come to find out. That's based on diet. That whole white thing based on, because I had a friend, Nathan had, you know that the white patches and stuff. It's not the whole, what they call that disease on.
That's not leprosy. It's like a bird in a
It's not leprosy. It's not leprosy. Vitiligo. Vitiligo. There's a smaller part. You don't get the main bit, but you get every now and then. Some of that is based on diet. Because I had a friend, he blue black, and he had one right here back in 94, 95. And his diet changed and it went away.
Really?
Yeah. So that's got something to do with diet.
I thought it was hereditary. Well, then we go back to that other thing.
Yeah, see what I'm saying?
Yeah, go right back to that other
yeah, right, exactly.
So we're not going there.
Yeah, exactly. That's another, let me hold that one. That's the, somebody, well, let me see, how many, they had 2 of them?
Yeah.
You just pass those. Yeah, and you can pass, well, some of those can get past this side. This is Urzuli, the goddess of love. And so you're going to need that one for the love ritual. So y'all motherfuckers who got somebody, don't take one of these.
Right.
Save it for the sisters who don't.
Right.
If you got one, if you ain't got nobody, save it for the sisters who don't. So if you got somebody, you know what I'm saying? Just pass it on to a sister. Raise your hand if you ain't got nobody. If you got somebody, then if you don't have nobody, take one of them with that heart on it. And the ones who got somebody, now you just have to wait the next go around till that nigga kick you to the curb. So let's, what we're going to do is right now, I'm going to go into the invocation of a leg bar, and then we'll go into this thing. And tomorrow we'll go deeper into this voodoo and chaos wars. Now remember now, no greeting now. If you ain't got nobody, then take one. And we'll go into some of that. If you got somebody, you have to wait the next go around. But now, if you still have the babies for the leg bar, you can pass those out to everybody. You pass those out to everybody. Yeah. Okay. stuff also too. You know, and don't do, and I had to tell him what you call it now. When I give you the love ritual, don't do the damn shit on me now. I have to preface that now. Because I had to tell him in California now, I'm going to give you the love ritual, but don't do it on me because you know I'm single now. You see what I'm saying? Your ass will be down in Atlanta working hard. Working, take care of me. I'll be sitting on the stump like them niggas out there be sitting up there. Why? They say, well, they say, I'm a go-getter. What's a go-getter? Every day my wife go to work and every day at 3 o'clock I go and get her ass. That's my occupation. So don't do the damn ritual on me now. You know what I'm saying? Don't do the ritual on me. You see, when I give you the love ritual and all, because like I say, homeboy is seriously broke. You see what I'm saying? Now you know some stupid stuff. Now I paid the water, I paid the lights, and I paid the, and I got tripped up and I didn't pay. I think, you know how you get the bill and you thinking, well, they told me you get about 60 days. And I'm thinking I got a week, and I messed around and looked at the bill, read the bill wrong, and it didn't have a date on it, but it had right up at the top, last notice. And somehow I didn't read the top of the bill. So they cut the gas off. What the hell, it's the summer. Like I can't. Right. So they cut the gas off last week. I'm like, well, and I had $300 in my pocket. And I'm like, man, but I said, it's summer. And I said, well, dang, the hot water off though, too. And I said, let me improvise here then. And for the dishes, I can put a pot on the stove, boil the water, throw it up in there, wash the dishes and all. And whatever other thing I can do that. And I said, well, you know how it is with the cold shower, it's freezing until you get up in there, you know, in like 5 minutes. So the last, and so, but I was flying out to go to New Jersey, and I said, well, damn, I don't want to pay the bill today. They tell me 48 hours. I said, well, if I fly out, some say, no, you better wait till you back home. Because if you pay the bill and they come and cut the gas on that hot water heater, that gas is going in there. It might explode something. I said, I'm like, well, whatever. So the last week, but I've been gone, so I left out of town the day after they cut it off. I came back yesterday, so I had to go jump in the damn shower for a minute and get that, you know, in about 5 minutes. But we improvise and stuff like that. So my point is this here. Get used to a whole lot of that kind of shit if you're going to try to hook up and do the love ritual on me. Homeboy is broke. Homeboy is broke. So you won't have nothing to say. Well, it'll be love. But you know how the love thing go. That's good for about a month. I give it a month. 20 days or whatever. Like they say, 30 days. You see what I'm saying? I give it a month. Then when the bills start piling up, then you kiss my behind. Right, you know. So it's like, so we're going to go to the invocation of Eshu. Eshu is the god Tahuti in Hemmitt. He's the god Tahuti in Egypt. He's the god Elijah. There's a form of that in Christianity. Enoch. One that comes before Christ. John the Baptist would be a part of that in Christianity. Imaris in Islam. Merlin in the Grail mythology. We're going to get into all that today when we go to the Moorish science. And I'm trying to think. His name is Eshu. So you say Eshu or Legba. Now this is the one that you've been doing, the ones with the 4 pennies.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You know, you put the 4 pennies on each corner on a Monday. And ask for the money, and the money comes about 7 days later. Right. Find this out too. Put the 4 pennies the next Monday. Put the 4 pennies face down. Okay. And then get you some of this wrong and blow 4 ways. Okay. Get some good money. So we got that one. And blow 4 ways and stuff like that too.
I know it works.
It works.
I know.
That
I already did the other one.
Yeah, that works. I mean, that works. Also, we had the brown bottle ritual. We talk about the brown bottle ritual, how to keep somebody off your behind. That worked, didn't it? My mama be putting it on their ass. She got a closet full of brown bottles. She be putting it on them. But the key here, I'll go into that in a few minutes. The key here is, check this out. My ex-girlfriend, the one that's not prior to the one that just dumped me, but the one before that. She said, well, why don't you, she made a good observation. She said, wait a minute. Why don't you use the brown bottle? You used to keep niggas off you. Why don't you use it for bill collectors?
Right. Oh, yeah. Right.
Good observation. Bill collectors and just people just hassling you. Right. You know what I'm saying? And we got that. We black people. Right. You know what I'm saying? So we know what time it is with that. We're going to do the invocation of Ishu at this particular time. Ibaku, Ibuku, Marambu, Ishu, Ibuku, Marambu, Ibuku, Ibuku, Marambu, Ami, Kanti, Ibuku, Ami, Aku, Marambu, Iku, Kala, Abaku, Marambulu, Omoli, Ku, Ibuku, Marambu, Omoli, Ku. Now, when you get if you ever get a hold of this invocation and it don't sound this way, you know it in actuality.